You think all these animals are just sitting there, and with all this vibration and sound that these machines make, they just stupidly wait and die? Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. Seb here, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm an animal rights activist and I post content almost every single week about veganism and animal rights, and sometimes I make reaction videos where I dismantle other videos that I've seen online. And today's video is going to be about a reaction video I have already done and the reaction to that reaction video. Before we get started, I want to ask you to please subscribe and hit the notification button so you can stay up to date with all my videos. And if you also use other social media platforms, feel free to check me out there as well. Something I want to add is that my free ebook is available now in 20 languages up on my website. So if you want to get that, it's about animal rights and logical fallacy. Something I had actually covered a lot in the reaction video that we're gonna talk about right now. So for those of you who had watched that other video and left a hate comment or just an argument against what I'm saying, feel free to check out the book and learn a bit about logical fallacies and why I made the points that I made. That being said, I want to clear out a few things here. I don't personally believe that Steven Rinella is a dishonest man. I believe that he committed a lot of logical fallacies in the response that he gave to the vegan. I also believe that in general, hunters cause much less harm onto other animals than people who eat meat from supermarkets do. I mean, this is a fact, you know, just because I'm vegan doesn't mean that I hold hunters in a worse place than those who buy from supermarkets. I actually think the harm that they do is much less. Something else I want to add is that I myself used to be a hunter. A lot of you actually commented on that video as if I don't know anything about hunting. I used to be a hunter, and that is very important because some people are talking about the connection you have with nature and the other animal and the gratitude and everything. I have been there. I have done all of that. Now, the interesting thing is that for some reason, Steven Rinella's fans are really hardcore. I mean, I just took a quick look in the comment section of my video and took a few comments from here and there, but there are so many horrible comments. Disrespectful, racist, ableist, whatever you want to imagine. But we're going to put that aside. We're going to go through these comments and maybe laugh a bit, but sometimes also offer some feedback. One of the funniest things is that from the hundreds of comments that I've received, only one hunter actually reached out and said, "Hey, I watched your video. I think you sound reasonable. Let's have a debate. Let's talk about this." And we actually had a very long debate on my YouTube, and you can watch that. And a lot of these people just jump on the hate bandwagon and just attack me without realizing that I'm actually very open to having these debates. And if you are a hunter watching this video, send me an email. Let's have a debate. I'm always open for it. So that being said, let's get to the comment section and see what people wrote. First one says, "What's funny is Steve does more for wildlife conservation than any of these vegans ever will, and they are all hating on him. I get it, vegans hate hunters, but come on, Steven Rinella." I don't necessarily believe that it is right for vegans to hate hunters in the way that a lot of vegans do. I personally dislike the idea of people buying things from the supermarket much more than those of hunters, as I said, because of the amount of harm that these people cause, because they're most of the time funding factory farming. I also want to say that when it comes to hunters, they are actually consistent with their values, let's say, because they don't mind going out there and killing the animal. I still think that is something unethical to do, but if you're going to eat meat, at least be consistent about it, you know? So if I were to play the devil's advocate, I actually have less disrespect for a hunter's actions, not the person, than I do for those who don't hunt but eat animal products. However, this whole wildlife conservation argument is the one that I think was popping up the most. And the reason for that is because when it comes to hunting, there's a lot of money that goes from hunters into wildlife conservation. And the argument that they're making is that vegans do less for conservation than hunters. Yes, there's a lot of money that's going into conservation, but the only reason you do that is because you want to kill animals. The intentions are not pure, and that set aside, we have still not found a solution. Conservation through funding that comes from hunters and hunting associations has not found a perfect solution. It's basically like cutting the branches of a tree instead of getting rid of the roots of the problem. And if there were enough respect and consideration towards other animal lives, more money would be provided by the government, and that would actually help finding better solutions to the whole overpopulation problem that a lot of people are talking about. Of course, there should be a kind of program that is set into place, but that should not come at the cost of of the lives of these animals. So what I believe is that hunters, if they actually care about animals, they would join the animal rights movement and would help us fight for actual systemic change that would make the government put enough funding aside in order to find solutions when it comes to conservation. Something else I actually want to mention is that when it comes to conservation, we have to take into consideration that vegans, and especially animal rights activist vegans, are doing a lot, okay? We are fighting against the industry that is the number one cause of deforestation and species extinction. So you cannot say that we're doing less, because we are actually targeting the number one cause. You are not doing that, okay? I've never seen a hunter. Maybe there is one, I'm not saying there aren't, but the majority of hunters don't join our activism campaigns in order to stop the deforestation and species extinction caused by the animal agriculture industry. And that is because they do not respect the basic moral rights of these other animals. To just share some numbers with you, 40% of tropical deforestation is driven by pasture for beef production, 18% for palm oil and soybeans, and another 13% for forest products such as paper and wood. So we're talking about 40% of deforestation coming from beef production alone. Now someone's gonna say, hey, you said soybeans, what about soybeans? Well, only 6% of the soybean production worldwide is actually used by humans for food, both non-vegans and vegans, because a lot of people out there who are eating soy products are not actually vegan. So 40% is what we're talking about right now, only from beef production. Next comment says, food you get from hunting is harvested way more purely and ethically than almost anything you'll find in a supermarket. If you're talking about what you find in a supermarket in terms of animal products, I would not say it's more pure and ethical. I would say it's less bad, okay? Nothing is ethical in the unnecessary act of taking the life of another being. If you are hunting, even if you kill one animal every single month or every 6 months or 12 months, you are still coming out of your way in order to take the life of that animal when you have the option not to. We're not talking about survival situations here, because let's face it, if you are leaving comments on YouTube, chances are you're not in survival mode. Next comment says, nice man bun, I totally trust your opinion on hunting, harvesting, and understanding Mother Nature, because you know, if my hair is long and I tie it up like this, apparently I cannot give any valuable information. That is nothing but an ad hominem fallacy. Nice try. You are off touch, man. Pitiful video. Everyone has their own opinion, but do some homework instead of trying to get some views off of someone else's content. Your justification is by far worse than his. Well, I'm not trying to justify anything. I am not the one who is unnecessarily killing other animals in order to try to justify something. And when it comes to my opinion, I'm not sharing my opinion. I'm sharing facts here. I don't care about my opinion when it comes to killing someone else. An opinion is an opinion. And in fact, we should not discuss moral and ethical issues based on what people's opinions are. Next comment. Logical fallacy. Activists love to use philosophical instructors that taught them these things in liberal colleges. By their logic, they can wipe the slate clean and nothing has definition or meaning. Even choice has no meaning, and in fact, the ability to logically wipe the slate clean empowers them to control the narrative. What? Philosophical instructors at liberal colleges? I studied architecture in Lebanon. What are you talking about? And if me pointing out that there is a logical fallacy in someone's reasoning is something that you cannot accept or see as a threat, it actually means that there is a logical fallacy and you do not have a single argument against what is being said. Okay, thanks for the good video. I'm going to go sink my 420 grain arrow into a deer. These are the kind of comments that hunters leave under my video right after saying that they care so much about animals and deers and other species, and that's why they're killing them. I don't need to justify anything. You do you and I'll do me. Like a bear, I am an omnivore. You are not like a bear. Hashtag pesticides kill. Well, a lot of pesticides are used in the animal agriculture industry for the crops that they raise in order to feed all the animals that they kill. Hashtag save our oceans. Well, 2.7 trillion animals are killed every single year in the ocean alone because of the fishing industry. So unless you're vegan, you are contributing to that. And I don't see how a vegan is kind of destroying the oceans. Hashtag bugs lives matter. That is an appeal to nirvana fallacy. It's this fallacy where you think, well, if you cannot do the best, like that nirvana state, let's say, where you get everything in a perfect way, then therefore it's not worth doing it. Well, let's face it, as long as you're alive, you're going to cause some kind of harm. And veganism is actually about reducing that harm as far as possible. If you actually stand for hashtag bugs lives matter, hashtag save our oceans, and hashtag pesticides kill, you'd be a vegan and an animal rights activist. Next comment, you will never understand the primal feeling that you experience through hunting. You feel your ancestors inside of you and the connection to the land that you just cannot understand. I don't care if you disagree with it, but you have to accept that there is a viewpoint that you can never understand without the experience. Sorry to tell you, Nick, I have had the experience. I have done all of that. And not a single one of those emotions that you explained actually justify the killing of another life when I have the option not to. Hunting is the most natural and ethical way for something to die. And I say natural because hunting is a natural instinct. Well, something is not dying when you're hunting. An animal is not a thing. And they don't die when you hunt, they get killed. There's a difference. The way that you have used these words in your sentence in order to take away the horrible thing that you're basically doing when you're hunting speaks for the fact that you do not feel comfortable saying hunting is the most natural and ethical way for someone to get killed. You know why? Because it's not the most natural and ethical way. And dying and getting killed are not the same thing. This next one seemed to be an honest comment. It was, all right, you persuaded me, man, but it's delicious. I said, I don't disagree, but does pleasure justify killing someone? He said, no. I don't know if you already talked about that, but if I miss the taste of meat, what do you think about lab meat? Well, personally, I'm not a huge fan of the idea that we have to create meat in a lab for people to stop killing animals. But realistically speaking, I do think that is one important step that we're going to be taking in order to massively minimize and reduce the suffering out there. So I'm all for it. If that's what it takes for people to stop doing it, then I'm all for it. I personally, I don't think I'll consume it. I don't see the point in doing that. I kind of think it's disgusting, to be honest, but as long as you're not harming anyone, you do you. What about the large amounts of animals that are either killed or displaced by large crops that destroy ecosystems? All right, let's get back into the studies because this is actually something that is brought up very, very often. People love to say that vegans are killing more animals or a lot of animals when it comes to their plant diets because of the crops and the death of a lot of animals that die in these fields. Well, there has been studies that have actually checked this, and no, we're not killing a ridiculous amount of animals in order to have the crops used in a vegan diet. A 2004 study examined the effect of wheat and corn harvesting in central Argentina. It compared the population and distribution of grass mice in 3 habitats, crop fields, regions bordering the fields, and the wider surrounding area. And while the number of mice found in fields substantially decreased after harvest, which usually people would say is because the mice died, their numbers substantially increased in the bordering regions. The study concluded that changes in the number of field animals were the consequences of movement and not of higher mortality in crops. And this is because animals are not stupid. When there's a massive machine going into the field, they don't just stand there and wait for the machine to roll over them and kill them. I mean, have you ever seen a mouse? You can't even catch one. They run away the second you get close to them. You think all these animals are just sitting there and with all this vibration and sound that these machines make, they just stupidly wait and die? Obviously, they're running away into other areas, which is why the number of these animals is going down. So this whole idea that vegans are killing so many animals, well, the thing is, let's imagine a parallel universe where a lot of animals are being killed because of the crops. Well, how much of the crops worldwide is being used for the 60 billion animals that are raised on land every single year for non-vegans to eat? We can talk about this surface and get more into the numbers. 29% of the Earth's surface is made of land. Of that 29%, 71% is habitable land. From that 71%, 50% is being used for agriculture, all right? And of that 50%, 77% is being used for livestock, meat and dairy, okay? Meat and dairy alone. That 77% is offering 18% of the world's calories and 37% of the world's protein supply. This is the most unsustainable food system that anyone can come up with. And all that land that is being used for this has a lot of crops that are being fed to these animals. And if you actually want to see that put, let's say, on the world map and see what it would look like, if livestock, as in the meat and dairy production industries and grazing and feed crops, were all continents, it would take literally South, Central, and Northern America while look at how much cropland would take that is used for human. 7% versus 27%. Daniel says, this might be the dumbest video on YouTube. You are so close-minded on this topic. Hunting is a way of life, and those that hunt have a better connection to animals and care about them more than you ever will. Basically, other than the fact that I already said I've been a hunter in my past, you're saying those who kill animals have a better connection to animals and care about them while killing them than those who don't want to kill them. I don't even need to explain that. Next comment, this is a typical video of a child's perspective on life, the good old I know everything mentality. Plain and simple, without hunting, people wouldn't be around today. No one really cares that some people don't want to hunt animals. People always hunt, so might want to get over it. Also, key example of someone who wouldn't have a face-to-face debate only behind the safety of a screen. Well, I'm really open to actually having a debate with Steven Rinella. I would love to have that. And to say that people have been around today because they hunted in the past, how does that in any way mean that we should continue hunting? You know what's another reason why people are around today? Murder, war, destruction. People did that for centuries, and those who survived are the reason why we're alive today. So let's just go ahead and continue murdering and waging wars, because that's the reason why we're alive. If hunters didn't hunt, deer populations would explode and exhaust their food supply in years and move on to destroying crops, etc. It's the same problem Texas has with hogs. If we don't hunt, ultimately we not only hurt ourselves, but the animals itself, along with their habitat. It's a hard balance, but a balance that we strive to find every day. Quite a respectful comment, to be honest, so I'm going to be respectful to answer back. As I said earlier, when it comes to this whole overpopulation argument, we're forgetting another thing. One of the main reasons of the species extinction that we're talking about and habitat destruction is the animal agriculture industry. All right, there's direct results and data that came out of the US government where they were sharing the number of wildlife that they kill every single year in order to protect the livestock, all right, all these animals that they were afraid would get killed from wild animals, predators. And what happens when you kill the predators? Well, the population of another species that were usually the victims of that predator rises. And when that rises, if you're just going to keep on killing them, you're never really finding a solution. You don't care about animals if you think the only way of solving this solution is to constantly kill them instead of actually attacking the root cause of the problem. And to end things with one of the dumbest comments I've ever seen in my life, you do realize that the animals we harvest by hunting or raising them eat your food. Therefore, if everyone went vegan, we would all run out of food because animals would be taking over. Wow, I really hate it when I want to have some hummus and there's no chickpeas because all these deers are going around and eating chickpeas. Are you okay? Like, you actually, there's even 2 likes to this comment, okay? Not only this person actually thinks that, 2 other people agree with him. That being said, this is the video that I wanted to make. Listen, if anybody from Steven's fan club is still watching this and can put me in touch with him, I would absolutely love to have an open, respectful debate with Steven. I don't think he's a horrible person. I don't think he's 10% as disrespectful as his fan club is on my comment section. So I would actually really enjoy having a conversation with him. If you could help me do that, I'm always open to it. I have already done it with one hunter who reached out to me very respectfully, very openly. We had an amazing talk and we're still in touch, actually. You know, if you actually have an argument against the points that I'm bringing up, leave a comment in the comment section below. That's all I have to say. If you attack me, if you attack the way I look, if you talk about the color of my skin, where I come from, I literally don't care. You're just a comment on YouTube. But what I do care about is people bringing actual honest arguments. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. If you'd like to support my online or offline work with animal rights activism, please feel free to check out my website, SEBALEX.org. I would really appreciate that. And that being said, major shout out to all my patrons supporting me. I really appreciate all the help. And while you're there, don't forget to get yourself a copy of my free ebook. Please remember to subscribe and hit the notification button. I'll see you in the next video.